Welcome to Phoenixes Rising from the Ashes into Purpose. I am Tennille, your transitional coach, here to guide you through your journey back to higher self, the being the Most High created you to be by revealing the mental weeds that have kept you repeating toxic patterns. Once removed, I give you the tools to heal those wounds and grow back in its place God's truth about you. The goal is to get you walking in your purpose and power. I have available now an introductory course titled, So You've Fallen, Who Said You Can't Get Up? For only $97. To get started, just click on the link in the description box to enroll. Also, check out the Cluster B playlist where I describe the tactics Cluster B disordered creatures use to break down their targets so that they're pliable. I love feedback, so never be afraid to leave a comment on this playlist or my Blue Phoenix Rising documentary series. Season 1 of BPR is detailing how I became homeless. Season 2 will be up sometime this year, 2021, so please have patience. Again, leave a comment and let me know if you can relate to these topics. Subscribe and share with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. Let's begin. Phoenix is rising. Tennille here, and I am your transformational coach, coaching those who have survived Cluster B abuse. Cluster B is a term that I use because narcissism and psychopathy even have been overused. But the Cluster B personalities include psychopathy, narcissism, borderline personality, bipolar, sociopathy, antisocial, histrionic, and there's a few others. There's, again, supposed to be 8. So I just want to remind everybody that when I say Cluster B personality, those are the personalities that I am referring to. Also, I want to remind everybody that if they have one diagnosis, if you have been diagnosed with psychopathy or sociopathy, that is the one that is showing up greater. It does not mean that you do not have the rest of them, because it's the same template that is used for all of them. Please smash the subscribe, like, share, ring the bell, so that you can be notified of when I upload more podcasts or videos. Also, please visit Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC. That is my production company, and I am currently working on a documentary, part 2 of Blue Phoenix Rising, which talks about my 3 years on the streets being homeless at 40. So yes, please. There's season 1 is up, and we're always our worst critic. So season 1 was basically me giving the data, but still, it's important. And I doing this documentary because I wanted to show people, give you visuals of my transformational journey and what I went through, what I survived, what many people are currently going through now. Homelessness is on the rise, and especially in the city of Sacramento, they're not doing a damn thing about it. They don't really care. They need actually people to be homeless because there is an agenda. But we may get into that later. But yes, please. And also, please support me by giving a donation. I have my Cash App. It is $BPR Media, just to help me produce these podcasts and documentary. Would very much appreciate it. Very, very, very much. So, I wrote down some topics for the podcast, but I think they all go together. And when we're dealing with witchcraft and gang stalking, which is the series that we're working on now, what they are after is your mind. There is a system that you will realize the cluster B personalities follow. There's a template. There are steps that they follow. The love bombing that they do is to attack your mind, to give you the illusion that they care about you, that they see you while other people have ignored you. So they'll tell you everything that they can sense that you want to hear. And then when they got you in their grasp, they will suddenly belittle you and criticize you. And suddenly you're not good enough. Suddenly you are absolutely worthless. And why did they even bother giving you attention in the first place? The sparkle in your eyes that they said that they liked and was enchanting was your best feature. Now they want you to go and get contacts. So it's all about working with your mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. So if they can get you to think like they think about you, then you will become it. And you will stay there because they will constantly monitor you. They will constantly make sure. It's kind of like, let's say you have some sheep and you got these sheep dogs. One sheep steps out of line, that sheep gets nipped in the heels by the sheepdog. That's what cluster B personalities do. And to aid them, they have their cluster B hags, the flying monkeys, to ensure that you're staying in line. So if you open that up, and two, I want to say, because my experience has been with, especially since I've been here, it hasn't always been this way, but there was a change when I moved. And one thing that I've noticed is that people, especially because cluster B personalities don't have self-esteem. They're empty. They don't have empathy. So if they don't have empathy, they can't have empathy for other people. They can't have empathy for themselves. The best way, I was on a construction site, and I think I might have mentioned this before, but I used to work construction, and I used to do residential and commercial roofing. And commercial, you work with hot tar. It's a flat roof. You're sealing it. You're laying everything down. And the foreman would be like, "You stupid MF and da-da-da-da. Why get your ass moving?" And he would do that to me. And I'd be like, "Dude, why are you talking down?" And he looked at me, honestly, just, he was a teddy bear. And he looked at me and he said, he kind of whispered, he said, "Well, because if you talk to them like that, they'll do what you want. They'll get going. They'll do better. They'll start working." So imagine that somebody who has, now I'm not saying the foreman was doing his job. So, sometimes when you're in a career, there are certain rules, spoken and unspoken, certain ways of being that are expected for that job. So, not saying that he was a narcissist. He was just trying to get everybody moving by belittling them. But when the cluster Bs do it, it's because they're empty, they're hollow, so they know already that they don't have a chance with somebody who is vibrating highly. So the first thing that they are going to do is get into your mind, because as you think, so are you. So are you vibrating. So the first thing that they have to do is to crush your self-esteem. In the other podcast, I had talked about, the second one for this series, I talked about a woman who tried that with me, because it didn't work with me with the foreman, and it hasn't worked. I work better with love and harmony. I will set the world on fire outside of me. Inside of me, I'm still setting the world on fire, because I can produce that, because I have a connection to the Most High. and I know how to purify and regenerate myself when necessary. The first thing that they do is attack your mind because they have to get inside. But so back to it, to what I was just saying. I got off track. But with her, she tried the being evil and nasty and belittling. That didn't work. So then she pulled on my love string, and that got her in. Now, that's nothing to be ashamed about, but if you were taking your time, as I did with this person, took my time, noted and logged the red flags, took myself out of situations, stated my boundaries to eventually end what was really not a friendship in the first place. You know, it was kind of like in the honeymoon stages, in the courting stages, and it just totally failed. So, so don't feel bad if, because I was beating myself up then. I was like, oh my gosh, she got in like that. But it was an experience that I absolutely needed to have because I've met several different types of cluster B personalities with, from different backgrounds, races, ages, cultures, whatever. And this one I had not met. Because the ones that I had always met were the ones who were like, bam, you ain't nothing without me. You ain't going to be nothing. Da, 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 da. You're going to sit here. Da, da, you know what I mean? I'm going to hold you hostage. I'm going to put you up on the shelf. And when I get back, you better be here. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? So don't feel bad because they're going to use different tactics to get in. Just be aware of it like I was so that you could disconnect. Because once you know who you are because you've done the work, there is nothing to give the devil a foothold to exploit. Then is when you have clarity of discernment of spirit to be like, okay, yeah, nope, not working. This isn't love. It's a mirage. So I'm going to let this shit go and keep it moving. But once they do get into your mind, then that's, when they get in with all that love bombing, and that's why it's called bombing, because they don't have any intentions of keeping that up because it's not in them. They're not balanced people. The end game is to dominate, control, siphon until you're nothing, and then discard you because they can't use you. And here to say something about the discard. The discard is because they have used you up and you're of no use to them now. So they're actually selfishly discarding you so you could go and fill back up. And then they'll try and come back once they sense, because they've attached a toxic soul cord to you so they can still feel your energy. So once they've sensed that, okay, you're back to where I need you to be so I can feed, then they'll do the love bombing or some grandiose gesture again. And here I wrote down, I said, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but principle and principalities. So the attack strategy is mind and getting into your heart, breaking your heart, confusing you, so that you don't know your left from your right, your up from your down. When people have a broken heart, they need the time to heal. They need the time to heal their heart. The cluster B personality does not give that. The cluster B personality needs you in that state where you're mentally confused about who you are, where they've broken your heart through bait and switch, through the love bombing, and then the degrading, and there is a word for it, but I don't have that in front of me, but that process. Reflect back when you had your first love, right? And that person, you absolutely broke your heart. Like you started drinking, whatever, going out on the town every night, whatever. You weren't being rational because your heart was broken. You were not balanced. you were doing everything that you could to reaffirm that you were lovable. I have watched middle-aged middle-aged women who were in a relationship. That relationship ended and they could not deal with being alone for the rest of their lives. They couldn't deal with it. So in a week or less, I'd see them with somebody else. And it was weird. It was interesting to watch that play out. So they're with somebody else and the other person that they're with is with somebody else. And they're both meeting and they're both talking. And it seems amicable, but when you're watching the eye contact, you're watching the energy, between them. And they're like, okay, well, so, you got somebody real quick, But the cluster B only wants you to be with them. So they work on you again. They go back to the mind fuck by telling you, I'm the only one that will put up with your shit. I'm the only one that will love you. I'm the only one that will do such and such. Even though they have no receipts. They've never had any receipts and they're not trying to get any receipts. It is literally just a script that they're reciting because you're just one of many victims. This also affects your spirit. It dulls your light. I know when I was living with Olga, she had a real problem with me chanting and meditating. So here was her conflict. And see, this is what I'm saying. These cluster B personalities are very conflicted because on one hand, you need that person to be at their highest level. But on the other hand, you don't want them to rise to a point where they get the power, they become aware. They're getting downloads. I don't know how long it's been, but I'm always having to clear my chakras because one of the tools of witchcraft is blocking your crown and third eye. And I have to tell you, again, being who we are, whatever you call yourself, empath, heyoka, super empath, whatever. But when we can see in the spiritual world and see what they're doing, to my crown chakra was an icy blue, like a fiery icy blue, and literally saw somebody, a figure, going through. Like I still to this day, and this happened like a month ago. No, 2 months ago. I still to this day do not know what they were trying to do. All I know is that, the end result was that I was not receiving as many downloads. They were also messing with my third eye, where I literally felt like there was a plate over my third eye. And so I this is the benefit of fasting. Because spirit is spirit, because you're dealing with energies, you're still going to get the download in another form. It may not be through your third eye. It may be through just your body or your other chakras, right? But when I saw what they were doing, like literally, I had never had, again, I had to have the last experience that I shared in the second podcast, because this person was literally going after my chakras. She went after my heart chakra, and then she would drain my root and sacral chakras, and then go through my Akashic records, through my crown chakra, and block my third eye. Now, it wasn't just the one person. I had 2 people that I know of for sure by their energy signature, because your personality is your energy signature. Your core personality is your energy signature. So if you are evil at your core, you are going to radiate that energy. If you are a destroyer of other people's lives because they have something that you want, but you want to dominate them and build with them for for your own selfish gain, then that is the energy that you are going to radiate. That is, we're towers. We're walking energy balls. So they had gone through. And so, it was absolutely beautiful, though, when I saw my own crown chakra. I was like, oh my gosh, this is, but I'm like, why are you fucking with it? So yeah, I was like, oh my God. And then, blocking my third eye and then rummaging through. And it was weird because they would literally go from one side of my brain, one sphere to the other sphere. You guys have, when you build up, like I said, this is a spiritual battle. This is a cosmic war. I've seen so much in the spiritual world that it's so fascinating. And as a filmmaker and a scriptwriter, I'm like, oh gosh, okay. So once this season is over, I am totally going in hermit mode, more than normal Virgo would, and writing all this stuff. So they will do this attack on your spirit. You're like a car, right? You're like a car. You have the carburetor, the alternator, the gas pump, the gas, all that stuff. You're like a car. So they're literally breaking down what makes you work, what makes you you. So they have to come after you psychically. They have to rewire you to fit them. So it's no wonder that these guys would use witchcraft or engage in damaging what kept me connected to spirit, damaging my mind, messing with my confidence and my self-esteem because they don't want me doing podcasts or filmmaking. A lot of times people can see where you're going and they will obstruct it if they can't hitch a ride. And of course, with your mind screwed up and squirrely, and you're in this constant state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, whatever, your heart is damaged, your heart broken. God can't get in through your heart because you have it sealed off because you're trying to protect yourself from this cluster B and their flying monkeys. Because they don't want to, that's the thing of devaluing and them always talking about themselves is reinforcing that you don't matter. You were an object. You were here for me. You are not here I'm not here for a partnership. I'm here to take. And I want everything that you have for free. I want everything that you have materially. Want everything that you have intellectually. I want everything that you have spiritually. I want you to give me the attention that I have not received. It reminds me of an anime. I am an anime lover. I can't say that I'm an otaku because I just like watching the anime. Sometimes I'll get, the backstory, I'll read the synopsis or whatever, of course. But I can't really say that I'm an otaku. But I love anime because animes get into the material and the spiritual world combined, because that is literally how we live. That is literally what is going on in real life. And I believe the anime is Sword Guy. And I was watching a few episodes and Sword Guy. So Sword and Gai. And these guys are the people who are possessed by these swords. And these not really in the Japanese spirituality, everything that is passed away and is a spirit is a demon. It could be a good demon, it could be a bad demon, it could be an in-between demon. And so I apologize right now if I'm messing it up. But so please comment and correct me. These swords were used in battles and got so thirsty for blood, so thirsty for control, that they were possessing people to use them, literally entering that person, and that person would become the sword, would do the will of the sword. And basically the sword would just be saying murder, 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 murder. But there was one named Guy, Sword Guy, who's a little different. And he has somebody, Guy adopted him, has somebody, the daughter is in love with him. And I mean, I'm taking it that she's in love with him. But she's the only one that can calm him down. He is the only one that can keep other, Jiminy's, I forget what they call themselves, because it's been a while since I've watched an episode, unfortunately, because I work. But she's the only one that can calm him down, and he is the only one that can free the others who go berserker or become a basama, I believe it is. So in that state is when it actually controls you. That sword actually possesses you. So a lot of times they'll be taken out of cryostasis, and then they do their job, and then they go back in to impede, or the transformation, because that is inevitable for them. And I know I'm skipping something, but bear with me. Basically, with the cluster B personality disordered creatures, they are trying to turn you into them. That they were once possessed by an evil sword, but still able to function. But they did too much. They didn't heed the call and the warnings of their ancestors. They didn't want to take direction. They didn't want to deal with what had fragmented them at the beginning. They didn't want to deal with their childhood issues. They didn't want to deal with, molestation. They didn't want to deal with abandonment. They didn't want to deal with whatever, maybe learning disorders that they had. They didn't want to deal with all that. Being made fun of, whatever. So basically, eventually, they made a pact with a demonic sword that would end up taking them over. So the only thing that these people with cluster B personalities disorders know is to kill. That's the only thing that they know. That's the only thing that they know. They can't do anything else. So they break you down. Mind, heart, spirit, and then, of course, your body. Because if you think that you're worthless, and if you are in a people-pleasing, your heart, you want to be loved. You want to be accepted. So you'll take now whatever that you can get. So you don't take care of yourself. You don't doll yourself up. You don't put on your cologne. You don't get into your best suit. You don't go to the club. You don't go out with friends, because this pisses the cluster B personality off, because they have pathological envy. They're jealous of you. They were jealous of you when they were scoping you out before you even knew of them. They were jealous of you. When they were collecting data, that psychopathic, sociopathic stare is collecting data. They don't care. They're not even listening to what you're saying. They're reading your energy signature like a UI board. They're reading you. Back in the day, we in the LGBT community, it was like, I read her, Electra on Pose, be like, read her. That's what the cluster B personalities do with their targets, with anybody that they sense has light in them that they want to devour. So they get into your mind, they get into your heart. They attack your spirit. They rifle through your Akashic records. They shut down your crown and third eye. They siphon your root and sacral chakras, because that's your stability, that's your sex. They want you to only be with them and only desire them. If you don't, and really, it doesn't matter if you desire them. They take what they want. They are just, they're rapists. Rape isn't just a physical thing. It's about power. It's about domination. It's about having control over somebody else. It's not necessarily because you're sexually attracted to that person. It's a tool used to dominate, to show I have power over you and there is nothing that you can do about it. So of course you're not going to take care of your body. You're not going to shower. You're not going to put on the yummy perfume that you once put on. I mean, maybe in a blue moon, if you're allowed to, only for the cluster B personality, you'll go out and you'll get your hair or nails done. But you'll still be met with badgering and belittling as to, oh, now you're trying to look at all these people and da-da-da-da-da, and you're cheating on me and da-da-da-da. And little do you know that this person has 3 or 4 men and women that they're sleeping with or are their units. They have different units. You know, you may not be their core person that they've just drained the hell out of and are just now, well, everything's here. I got everything that I need, but I'm still going to go out and do my thing. The process that I take my clients through is meant to build strength. If you are still holding on to abandonment issues, your mother or your father abandoned you, like my mom abandoned me, not just when I was younger, when in my adult life, she repeatedly abandoned me because she had cluster B personality disorder. She could not be present, and she wanted to use me as a supply, but I was too far away. You know, and it was really sad, but I chose to heal and forgive her. That acknowledge, the reason why the reason why I spent most of my life trying to be this good daughter, this good person, not realizing that I always was, but anytime somebody gave me destructive criticism, attacked my self-esteem, I thought, oh gosh, that's another sign that I'm not perfect. Because I grew up thinking that I had to be perfect in order to be loved. I can't have my face textured. I can't be 50 pounds overweight. I can't, be wearing a t-shirt and shorts. I have to dress up. I have to do all this stuff, which is just not me. Like, I'm a granola Seattle kind of person. I like to dress up, but I'm very picky about what I dress up in. I have one of those body shapes that doesn't necessarily fit everything. It's just really weird. So anyway, so I spent a lot of my time focusing on being perfect and hyper attuned to what people didn't like about me. Because if people didn't like me, then that meant that they were going to get physical with me. But I still had this stubbornness about me that was like, you know what? I'm just tired of trying to please people. So, but then the God that I had believed in as a child was also a cluster B personality and wouldn't love me if I didn't get on my face and knees and give 10% of my hard-earned money, even though I had, still to pay rent and all this other stuff, right? Not saying that giving isn't a good thing, but it's not giving 10% to another human being who claims to be called just for preaching what you can read by yourself, making them billionaires, helping them in their businesses while you're still pining for God's love is not something that I could subscribe to anymore. But that's what I was doing, So I was like, okay, so if I want God to love me because humans don't love me. If my mother and father don't go, then God will raise me up. I loved that verse. But now I know what it actually means. It didn't mean I had to recognize, which is the first step, reveal. So recognizing that the God that I had was somebody else's God. It was not my God. It's not the God that I know now that I call Mama. It was not. It was not this narcissistic sociopath, psychopath that demanded, your children and all that stuff, right? It wasn't demanded you give what you could not give. It was not that kind of God. And that was the last thing that I had to let go of. And that was absolutely terrifying. Because if God didn't love me, I was shit out of luck. And I actually went into hibernation for a few years, for a half a decade. Because I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So the awakening, when things are revealed to you that they're so glaring and you desire so deeply, this yearning will not let you go. Because you want to change, because there's something in you that's saying, hey, I can do better. I am better. I always imagined myself being a star. Now, I don't know as a star in what, but I also know in doing my work and finding my purpose. I've always been a writer. I've always been a storyteller. And with Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC, my tagline is creating healing through story. I've always had this desire to teach, to help people. It's things that I do naturally. If you do it naturally, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a natural talent that could be your purpose in helping other people grow. When I got a new God, when I started on that journey of actually getting to know who God was for me, I had to break away from that group because they were hurting me. I was never good enough. It wasn't that God was saying that I wasn't good enough. It was the people who were representing God who were telling me that I wasn't good enough. I couldn't be a lesbian and get spiritual downloads and codes and revelations like their prophetesses and all that other kind of crap because I was a lesbian. And because in that belief system, you're damned. Hate the sin, but not the sinner. But they ended up hating the sinner because they were looking at the sinner, not the sin. It wasn't that I was making love to women in front of them, so they couldn't hate that. So you had to hate me. When I got to know God for myself, it took some years because I had to really go after those. How was I hurt by Christianity? Why? Was this God or was this them? Right? Had to do that. And even in them, I don't do religion, I do spirituality. And I found my home spirituality. I found what I was always interested in. From a teen, I was always interested in mostly Eastern spirituality and beliefs, ideologies, because I always gravitated towards it. I always read. I was an avid reader, and I would read different things, not just Black history or whatever. I would read about the brain. I would read about Buddhism, different sects of Buddhism. I would read briefly about Hinduism. It wouldn't be until, much later that I would start reading and really I said, this is it. This is my home. Like sometimes there's a city that is your home that is other than what you were born in, and you're constantly searching for that. That's what I was searching for. I was searching for something that I could carry and hold on to that actually produced results. For me, Christianity didn't produce those results. And then when I realized that it was more of my energy, coupled with my belief, coupled with my resolve, then I realized that this was not, I'm not going to get hit by lightning because I'm not a Christian. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? And I don't care what you believe. What I care about is the spirit. Again, just like I said, I don't care whether you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever, trans, it doesn't matter. But what I care about is if you're traumatizing people within that community. It's about energy. What you will know them by their fruits. So if you're producing toxic fruits because your energy and your thought life is toxic, so your energy is toxic, then I have a problem. Other than that, I don't care. To each his own. There is many ways to get a relationship with the Most High. There's not just one. So when those things were being revealed to me, I healed them by, breaking them down, analyzing them, realizing this is not my stuff, because I had given these people power over me. They were threatening me spiritually that I was going to go to hell if I didn't pay 10% of tithes, or if I slept with another woman, and if I didn't give in to the, masculine sexual advances. You'll find lots of cluster B personalities in religions. And they swoop in they're diverse. They'll swoop into the spiritual, the conscious sect. But once I healed that and I started having a relationship, it was so overwhelming at first, because I don't know how I'm getting off on this, but I'm going to keep running with it. But it was so overwhelming because I realized I was in a relationship with a cluster B personality. That I had literally had my spiritual growth stunted because they were injecting me with the fear of going to hell, or the fear of not belonging to their congregation, or the fear of this and the fear of that. And I got so damn tired of being afraid. But it was overwhelming to have this new freedom. Like, what do I do with all of it? I didn't fill it up with drugs. I didn't fill it up with alcohol. I didn't fill it up with sex. So I was like, okay, what am I doing now? But so I guess I just started experiencing life. It's like when people tell you, oh, black people don't go camping. We don't swim in the water. We don't listen to country. Then you go, it's like, well, why is somebody else, whether you're within the community or not, why is somebody else dictating what millions of people are supposed to be doing? Because they're this skin color. I actually like country. I like the new country, especially that's coming out. I love Marion Morris. I do go camping. I have swam. It's when you look at it, that's what was happening for me. I was starting to look at everything that was these tools, these organizations, these groups that are doing more harm than good, but they'll tell you our objective is to, heal and get you closer to this and that and help you with this and that. But there's always a caveat, which sometimes has you selling your soul, draining your energy. So even though I was uncomfortable with that freedom and that realization, going through that process of revealing what was holding me back from a closer relationship with the Most High, I kept on with it. And it's the reason why I survived being homeless for 3 years. It's the reason why I am now living in my purpose to help other people transform into their higher authentic selves. It's a lifetime process. So I healed it, which is step 2 that I take my clients through. There's 4 steps. So I healed those wounds, those fears, let go of those fears, because God is nothing to fear. Not mine anyway. Not mine. So in healing that, in healing the abandonment from my mom, who was a cluster B personality, I stopped gravitating. Let me say I stopped gravitating to women who have cluster B personality or cluster B personality characteristics, who needed to be saved. There are 2 different types of codependency. The one where you can't live without anybody and don't know, you don't want to be alone. And then the other one is, which is more me, is, getting my self-worth from the people that I help to validate my existence. Because when I was younger, everybody applauded me for how obedient I was to my cluster B father. When he'd tell me, go get me some ice water, I'd go get it real quick. Like, everybody was, his friends were like, oh yeah, she does real good. Uh-huh. So when you get out of that, in healing from that type of codependency, where my self-worth was predicated on who I helped, was measured by how much I did for other people, neglecting myself, neglecting my needs. Which, when you're always doing stuff for other people, now it's not bad to do things for other people, but you don't throw your pearls to swine. You have discernment. It's one thing if Spirit is saying, okay, I want you to do this, help this person out, because you have an open heart. The Most High, the universe, works through people with open hearts. That's how other people's prayers get answered. Because you sent out that vibration, that word, you thought it. You spoke it. So now the hearts of other people have to be opened, and the Most High is going to be as efficient and effective and bountiful as it can be for you. Where people mess up is they had that open heart and they were obedient to the call, but then they saw that, oh, I can get at something out of this, a prayer that I had asked for, or something that I want, and they turn it into something that it's not supposed to be. So you have to have discernment. So healing from that, and not, I really learned a lot about that on the streets too. Like, that just galvanized it. Because I was like, most of these people, they love taking handouts. They love the volunteers coming out and giving them sleeping bags and tarps and gloves and hats and book bags and, backpacks and things like that. Free food. But they didn't want to get out of the situation. They've become comfortable and complacent, stagnant. And for me down there, I couldn't do that. So, healing. So healing from abandonment. It was revealed, these places in my life, these wounds, these secrets that, I was embarrassed. I didn't think that I'm worthy enough, because my body had severe body issues. Because when I grew up, I was called, fat. I was only 98 pounds, and they was like, you're a fat ass, you're this, you're that. And I was only 98 pounds. Because I was being starved as punishment when I was growing up for months, weeks at a time. That would end up to, sometimes being for months. And then when I did eat, I would eat their carby foods. So my body was being conditioned to live in scarcity, to live in fear. That's what that produced. So, having eating issues and not really had bad eating habits. So as all these things were revealed to me, I healed them and I took action. Growth is taking action. What are you doing when you plant that seed, right? You uproot the old seeds, the weeds or whatever from the old plants. You clear those away, you toss them. Or you make a compost out of them. So they say your blessings are in your ashes. Because that compost, them being a part of that compost, gives you nutrients. Gives you the whatever vitamins and minerals that you need to be able to keep going, to build that new foundation, to build that new plant. And so when the seed gets planted, the new seed gets planted and it's watered and it's fertilized, what does it do? It has to take action. So it grows up. It grows up. So I grew up and into a new way of thinking and believing and eating and praying and meditating and chanting. And it was really hard, being considered part of the Black community when it was convenient. They would always frown because it's natural for Blacks to be Christians. So they would always frown at me. Well, what are you doing? Oh, I don't know nothing about them people, And then, of course, racism against Asians or whatever, that's a devil culture. You don't know that. You don't know that. That's something somebody else told you, and now you're regurgitating it. Going back to step one, reveal. Knowing that most of what we do is to survive as children, especially if we've grown up in toxic, abusive, narcissistic, psychopathic, generally cluster B homes. We learned how to cope. But what we need to learn is when we can stop coping, when we don't need those tools, when we can discard those tools and upgrade to a better, higher quality of navigating through the world, where we're not coming from poverty thinking. We're not coming from fear that I'm going to get my ghetto pass revoked. Thank you. Thank you for revoking it. I will tell you all right now, thank you. Thank you, because it was a cinder block chained to my ankles and I was drowning. So thank you for revoking my ghetto pass long ago. Thank you for setting me free. That it takes time, and there's going to be different layers of the onion that you're going to go through. One thing that I have learned is to take time to myself. I have 3 dogs. Right now, as I'm recording this, one of my babies wants to go outside. She wants to go for a walk because she's like, Mom's happy. My happiness is going outside and walking. You know, but I have to take time to provide for my clients by telling my truth, by sharing my story, so that you can feel empowered, so that something will trigger within you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go through these 4 steps. I'm going to allow myself to meditate on what has kept me stuck. I'm going to allow everything to be revealed. You don't have to do it all in one setting. I remember I had to tell one client, look, you don't have to do this all. If you can't handle it right now, put it down. Because it's like when you go to the gym, and I've been working out. I'm an avid weightlifter. I love lifting weights. Love cardio too, but I love lifting weights. But when you go to the gym, you're working out hard. Your arms, legs, chest, back, butt, thighs, working it out, calves, working them all out. And it's an intense training. Your body needs to atrophy. Your body needs time to heal. So everything that you have worked on, all those gains need to settle. The body needs to heal. The body needs to make room. The body needs to adjust. In the process, while you're resting, you're still eating healthy. You're still hydrating yourself. You're still doing gratitude lists. You're still listening to your positive affirmations when you go to sleep at night. You're still working on you. You're just letting the muscles and the bones and the veins and everything in your body adjust and heal to this new way of being. So remember to take time for yourself. But yes, so again, what started this was going through the process of how cluster B personalities break you down and why it is so important for you to go through the steps to heal, to that whatever is revealed about you. Like, he's like, I've heard people say, oh man, yeah, I do that because my daddy used to do that. And my mom, mentioned one time. Sometimes somebody will co-sign for that toxic behavior, which solidifies that absorption. Or a mom will say, yeah, oh shit. You got that look that your daddy used to get before he used to whoop my ass. Okay, so why would you say that? Why would you make a whole new creation? Because I'm nothing like my parents. Absolutely not. And there's still confusion on who I look like. Depending on who they're mad at, I may look like my mom. I may look like my dad. Depending on whoever effed them over the most, or whatever there is being revealed or they're triggered by. I used to trigger a lot of people in my family, and I had to let go of my family because they were toxic. They didn't want me. And that's okay. That is okay. They have lives that they live, but it's not the life that I have dreamed of. I'm here nonetheless in this world. Does not mean that I have to take my family, my blood family, from this earth with me. It does not mean that. And it's okay that if you rise, when you rise into your purpose and your life starts to change, the finances start coming in because you have something that people want, it's okay that you're doing it just with yourself, that you're going by yourself. And it's okay if you don't go by yourself. But don't go out searching for a partner when this is your road alone. For me personally, I don't want to take anybody with me when I, listen, when I meet Rosario Dawson, I don't want people going with me. I want to meet her on my own. I don't even want Corey there. I've been waiting for this for years. Don't mess it up. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. You've been waiting for this for years. You've been waiting for this for years. So don't mess it up by people making fun of you or insinuating that there's something wrong with you because you're not married with kids and, or you don't have this or you don't have that. I think that a lot of times when I see it with filmmakers. They're going through film school, and that's all they're pretty much doing is going through film school, and then they end up teaching film school and, whatever, and they have this wife and these kids, and, and I've seen this in the LGBT community. And one particular, but I won't say her name, but, and as I'm thinking to myself, that's what held you back. That's what held you back, So for me, it's I just want friends. That's it. Because like I said, my friends are my family. And besides, I want a lover that I'm a friend with anyway. If you're going to be my life partner, we have had to known each other for some time. Not this wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, bring in the U-Haul and now we're all stuck. No, sir. But the way that you defeat people with cluster B personality disorders is by doing your own work, the internal work that I've listed. That's just part of it. I don't know what anybody is going through. I know that we have some commonalities, which is why I share my experience so that you can get strength and hope out of it. And the healing too is realizing that these are not good people, period. They're not good people. They are going to do what they do naturally, and that is steal, kill, and destroy. That's what they do. But that doesn't mean that you have to do it. And yes, and I'll share this and I'll close. I've been going through this journey for a long time. This self-awareness, this evolving spiritually for a long time. And I realized part of the reason why I was being attacked, I mean, not just because I'm a Virgo, and we just get attacked because, I don't know. But part of the reason why I was getting attacked and people were criticizing me and becoming violent with me because I was not just because I was a mirror reflection of what they could be but didn't want to be, what they could be doing but didn't want to do, was because I was reading. I would ask Mama, like, hey, I want to know about this. What books can I read? And I'd be guided to this or that book. And I like the old school books. I like the books from like the 1600s on before the 20th century. You know what I mean? I think that would be right. I like those old books because they were just finding knowledge and writing it down. They were excavating and writing shit down. It was not hindered. There was no, the ones that I was reading, there's no propaganda and it's just nothing but truth. So I was reading. And it elevated my mind, of course, right? That's something with cluster B personalities that I've run into that I've met 6 of them. One that's still, 2 that are still hovering because They're like pits with a bone. They will not, they're on lockjaw mode, but it's waning. So there's several things that they'll do right away. To show their intelligence, they'll say, oh, do you read? Will not wait for you to respond. I read such and such and such and such. But really, in reality, they don't read. Not even listening to an audiobook. Because they're so focused on keeping all their targets in line that they don't have the time to do that. They may read off the internet or whatever, but they're not avid readers. They don't designate time to read a book. But I noticed that I was always asked that question. And again, they don't care what your response is. It's just, it's an induced conversation. And induced means just asking questions, letting you get the out and then, okay, interrupt. Here's what I do, right? So that was one, to show their intelligence. The other one is to make themselves attractive. And they'll make statements like, oh yeah, I'm a good catch. Or the last one that I dealt with, she says, well, yeah, and just out of the blue, induced conversation, out of the blue, we were not having a conversation about whether her husband had to check in with the other baby daddies and all this other kind of crap as to whether she was a good partner or not. And she tells me, she goes, yeah, my husband was talking to my baby daddies and, whatever. And they said that I was a good woman and da-da-da-da. Okay, that's how they set the stage for how you should view them. Because if they're telling you that they're a good catch or they're a good woman, they're a good wife, right? Mind you, they're already attached, but they're working on having a relationship, some kind of parasitic symbiotic relationship with you, because that's one of you're going to be another, they're going to create a persona off of you. They already got other personas all out there with people that they've met and that they're cheating on, because cluster B personalities cannot be monogamous. They can't, because they're always thirsty. They always need constant supply. And there's so many diverse people out here. That's another way that cluster B personalities will mind fuck you, is trying to tell you, oh yeah, I'm this and I'm so intelligent and everybody wants me. So, but I stopped reading it as one of those things because I was afraid. I was like, okay, because I was trying to look at, why do people hate me so much and I haven't done anything to them, And a lot of times it's the energy that you're putting off, and it's the jealousy. It's the jealousy. With the cluster B, there's a term called, and I've said this already, but it's a term called pathological envy, pathological jealousy, where they are murderously jealous of you because you have something that they will never have. Now, because I was thinking about this last night as I'm reflecting on, what type topics to talk about. And I'm actually glad that I've gone from writing it down structured to just speaking my truth, because a lot more comes up. I'm not hindered by that, by writing it down, by show notes. Maybe later, but not right now, because I need to talk about that. Mama keeps telling me, tell your story, tell your story. But I was so afraid, of being everything that I wanted to be because other people were jealous of me. So that's what that pathological envy causes these people want to body swap with you, basically mind swap with you. With gang stalking and witchcraft with Ogre, about a few months ago. And when these guys engage in witchcraft, it knocks you off because you're not expecting it, right? You're not expecting to get a psychic attack. You're not expecting, it's like, oh God, where is this dizziness coming from? Like I'm sitting down and all of a sudden I feel dizzy. Do I need some water or what? Or I'm having headaches, but I haven't been having headaches all day. I'm just having headaches right now. And it doesn't feel like a headache. There's just pain directed towards my head. That's what it feels like. It's not a headache, but there's pain directed towards my head. Or why do I feel this evil, foreboding energy over me, you know? And I was just happy a few minutes ago. Like, you know, my moods, I don't have mood swings like that. So it throws you off. It throws you off. With this mind swapping body, and the only reason why, again, so whenever I'm attacked with witchcraft, sometimes before clearing it away and throwing it back, and I agree with throwing it back. Number one, I get so tired of people talking about, oh no, don't throw it back. Just, you know, pray about it. And that, no, bitch, no, I'm sorry. No, because here, and it doesn't, because they're trying to, oh, that means that you're not awake. And that means that you're not elevated, bitch. No, it means that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm using the power and authority that has been invested in me to take care of this. Because number one, you have come into my sacred space for absolutely no reason but for domination and control out of jealousy. You have come into my sacred space. I did not come to you. Because if I'd came to you, I would have given you love. I would have given you healing. I would have given you constructive criticism. But instead, you decided that you wanted to attack me. And that is an energy that you are leaving with me with the intention of whatever you've spoken out there into the universe and sent that capsule, that bullet to me. So yes, I am raising my hands like Neo, and I'm throwing that shit right the fuck back to you. You best believe it. Because if you didn't want it coming back to you, you shouldn't have fessed with me. I don't have that belief that I have to take on other people's toxicity. I don't have that belief of turning the other cheek. You attacked me and my sanctuary and my family and my future for no reason. But because you're 5150. I don't have to. That's an energy that I will have to absorb and process. No, ma'am. Because I'm not there. I've done the work. So if somebody's telling you that you're being attacked but don't do anything about it, get away from that person. Take their picture and move to use for later use. Because that's what narcissists, that's what cluster B personality disordered people don't want to have. They don't want to have to take responsibility. They don't like sitting with themselves, which is why they engage in astral projecting and witchcraft, because they have to keep busy. They have to project themselves onto other people because they can't deal with the evil that's inside of them. They can't deal with the confusion. So they want other people. They see in us that we can process this stuff because we've processed our own. That's why we are light. I should be a serial killer with everything that I have experienced, according to the world. I should be a sociopath with everything that I've experienced, all the trauma that I have gone through repeatedly, according to the world. But I am not, because I made a choice to move higher, to live higher. So I'm not going to let all my hard work on myself. I am not going to let somebody else distract me from my purpose. You may take me a few steps back. You may prolong the inevitable, but nonetheless, I will get to my goal. But I will not, it's such a freeing experience not to have to own somebody else's crap. Those of you, you know, had your family members, oh yeah, you like your daddy and your daddy did this, so you gonna do this. No, I'm not. How do you know that? I just got here. Why do you even know what I'm gonna do? So yes, throw that shit back. That's all I'll say about that. I really do dislike when people say, oh no, just woosah. Bitch, woosah these bullets back 700 times in tension and intensity. You best believe it. Yes, ma'am. So anyway, sometimes when I am being attacked, in order to collect the data, because it is energy coming into your energy field, right? I analyze it. I analyze where the attack is. So if you're attacking my left or right brain, what are the functions of my left and right brain? If you're attacking my sacral or root chakra, what are the functions of my sacral and root chakra? So I can get an idea. I can create a picture of what it is that they're trying to go after so that I can fortify that. You're trying to get me not to get downloads. Why? Because God is always constantly showing me what the next indicated step is. Has always done that. Like I said, I have a relationship, so I know what she does. I know how she loves on me. I know how she helps and protects me. When you're going after my mind, though, and what I felt on the train that day, and it was really weird because I was like, I always listen to your intuition. Anytime, I don't care if there's nothing around, because it's an energy. That's what throws people off. I will get more into, well, I guess I can get into, I was going to talk about astral hovering. Now, this is when the cluster B witch, warlock, whatever, who was so obsessed with you, will attach themselves to you in the astral realm. They're fragmenting their spirit. So I would always have a presence with me on the train that was not my guides. It was an evil, imposing, I'm going with you because I want your life. In the astral realm, I'm going to use the astral realm to attach to you. And I'm going to go as if I'm a security guard, even though I know that I'm a felon and I can't get any type of certification. So yeah. So what I felt was, it was literally like a worm was coming through my temple. Kind of like Harry Potter when the wizard, I forget his name. It's not Gandalf because that's Lord of the Rings, but where he takes his wand and he pulls out from his temple a memory and puts it in this water of memories. That's what it felt like. Instead of taking it out, it was something was being put in. So that form, that wormy form. And all of a sudden there was confusion. Now I'm pretty solid intellectually. All of a sudden there was this confusion. My head was hurting, and I couldn't get it out at that time, because normally what I do to clear that stuff out, I do in the comfort of my home, and I'm on the train. Sometimes I will do it when I'm attacked if I'm attacked while I'm on the train with witchcraft and nobody's on the train or in that car, I'll do what I normally do. I couldn't do that this time. And that's the setup was, there was a smell on there that was really revolting. And there was only one person on the train, and she kind of looked at me, and I thought that she knew me. By her look, it was like, oh, I know you, But then, she was 5150. But I'm like, wait a minute, okay, something's off here. And so I had to actually deal with that for a week, because while she was in there, she was having fun. I could tell that she was having fun, trying to, be me or direct my thoughts, direct my brain into different things, I guess. Another thing that she had done before, so that was one thing. So it took me a week to clear it out, because I had to look it up. So from what I felt, I Googled it and screen captured mind spells and body swapping spells. Screen captured it, because I'm like, okay, people aren't going to believe me if I choose to share this with other people. And yeah, that's exactly what the fuck she was doing. She was trying to swap minds with me, so that she would know what I was doing, but her mind, it was literally like mush. Like you would think, even as somebody with, having these cocktail of cluster B personalities and being so evil, that I would be feeling all these thinking all these evil thoughts, right? No, her mind was like a little kid, but not stable. So I could not have that. So again, I went in to clear it out. Took me about a week. This was something new that Ogre did. I've had her in my body before. I've had her swap bodies before. And she's 400 pounds. So I would feel energetically as if I had expanded to 400 pounds. And I felt a heavy weight on me. Like I was walking, because I was walking around with, 200 and something extra pounds on me energetically. And it was very uncomfortable. See, once you purify yourself of everything, you know thyself, know your mind, know your heart, know your spirit, know your body. Because not knowing gives them free will over you. If I didn't know what I know now, if I hadn't have done the work, she would still be in my mind. She would still be in my body. Now, to people who don't understand witchcraft and how deep it goes and how sick it is for people who with cluster B personality disorders that engage in this, because it's what? About power and control. They need to dominate by any means necessary. They want to be able to throw stones and hide their hands. When she first did it, I was living in the U-Haul. I had just gotten a job in a security. Started my career in being a security guard, and was posted up at the library. So it was while I was I was actually literally praying and meditating, and I feel a warmth on my thigh, a warmth on my forearm, and it tingled a bit. And I thought, okay. It wasn't like, if you're working out and you're going through this, healthy thing, sometimes your body will tingle because it's shrinking. Your cells are shrinking. So, you know what I mean? It's adapting to the work that you've done. That was not this. At first, though, I thought maybe it was, but I was cautious. So when so it would be certain spots. She would either go on the left or the right, and it would always be coming through my thighs or my ankles. This first time, I was like, oh, what is this? What I heard. See, when people body swap with you, you take on whatever disease and defects are in them. So I was feeling her digestive issues from drugs and drinking. I was feeling her warped mind, her confused, I'm mentally unstable mind. But I heard her laugh and say, yeah, like she had literally gotten comfortable. And I was like, no. So it scared me because it was my first time experiencing this. And it scared me. I would learn later, do not allow fear. Get calm, gain your composure. And I had to move her out. I moved her out. But it was the absolute most disgusting feeling because this is a severely toxic person. Mentally, spiritually, physically toxic. In her heart, she's toxic. Like a nuclear waste plant, toxic. And when you're not, and all of a sudden you get to you start feeling like that, just all this disarray and just it was and because it's not like, again, it's not like she still hasn't tried it. With people with cluster B personality disorders and dealing with witchcraft, once they do one thing and they have success. So she was successful at the mind swap and the body swap, not for very long though. And I sensed that pissed her off when she had to move out. She was pissed. And now I block anytime I sense anything tingling, anything in my head pulsating or whatever, feeling like somebody's knocking a finger on it or something like that, but just a little hard enough for it to hurt. Yeah, bye-bye, bitch. Bye-bye. You have no rights. And it's not that I'm not getting help from my angels or guides. It's not. It's that these people have no feeling. When they decide on something, they're going to do it regardless of whether you want them to or not. They have no conscience. They have no empathy. Her desire is to be me. That's what her desire is. So she feels, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm going to use witchcraft to do it, and I'm going to go for it. So because it worked for a few days or whatever, Because the first time it took a long time to get her out, because I was so annoyed that I could feel this worm, whatever, and then feel her confusion and feel how her brain actually works. And it's fucked up. I mean, I can't mince words. It's nasty. They'll keep doing it. So I'm not saying that, you're, once you read it, you know what I mean? I have not been given that download yet, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, I know we've talked about a lot of subjects today, and I'm actually going to quit because in this podcast, because my babes want to go for a walk, and she's groaning and talking to me like, come on now. But yeah, so, basically this podcast is the tools that they use to break you down, how important it is for you, for you to go through the steps of revealing, healing, growing, and showing, so that you are leveled up and you have tools and a defense against these people, because they're not going away. They're not going away. And if you've come in contact with one and you've realized, okay, now this is what I'm dealing with. You've probably come in contact with many before you actually realized it, but right now for some reason you're focusing on it. Or right now it's like, okay, now the term, just like when I was first going through gang stalking, I had to look it up, like harassment. That's why I just said community harassment, and then gang stalking came up. So it's not like something that I was like looking for to be a conspiracy theorist. I was like, okay, what is it that I'm going through? So once you go through it, you don't have to go through it the same way again, especially if you're doing the work. And that's what I'm offering. I have a mini course. Now, this is when I first started, and I was so amped up, man, amped up to get this out there for people. So it's a $97 course. And actually the course is worth over $300. Because you download the course, that's $97. And there's a link in the description box. And then you schedule through Square 4 sessions a month, for the month, 4 sessions, 45 minute sessions, that are normally $85 a piece for a session. So you're saving a lot. You're saving quite a lot. And for me to coach and guide you through these steps, please, if you're ready to get on this journey, if you desire to have somebody guide you through healing from narcissistic or cluster B personality disordered abuse, whether it in your family or in your relationships or whatever, and give you, help support you in creating a new life for yourself, then go ahead and click on those links. If you like the subjects and can relate, please comment. Also, any donations, Cash App, $ BPR Media, anything would be great, just to help me to keep producing these podcasts, and also videos that are coming out. And again, remember that your blessings are in your ashes. Rise, Phoenix.